That's right. Get out, Kamala. You fired. You fired, Kamala. You fired, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, you got to get out of here. We don't want you in office no more. You fired. You got to fight. We got to fight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was not a pleasant day. I'll tell you, front row Joes were there. Front row Joes were there. They've seen it all, haven't you, huh? You've seen it. That was a horrible day. That was a terrible day. She's flip-flopping on every single thing she's ever espoused or believed in, the border, healthcare, crime. But she truly is a radical. She's flip-flopping on everything to get elected. After she gets elected, it all goes right back to where it was. She refuses to do any interviews or press conferences. Almost 30 days now. She hasn't done an interview. You know why she hasn't done an interview? Because she's not smart. She's not intelligent. And we've gone through enough of that with this guy, Crooked Joe. He didn't do interviews either. They kept him in his basement, and essentially they're keeping her in the basement the same way they kept her. They don't want to expose her to, like, a question like, what did you have for dinner tonight? Remember, Joe, what kind of ice cream is your favorite? Vanilla. Oh, I like vanilla. Oh. That was George Flopadopoulos. He asked him that. What's your favorite ice cream? With me, they asked me a little bit different question. That's all right. Did everybody the other night see Elon and me? Huh? This is great. That was one of the most successful shows ever done. I mean, that was a lot of people like him. I think they like me too, come to think of it. But he's great, and he gave us his full endorsement. He's a great guy, but he basically, he's a guy who doesn't need this stuff. What he wants to do is see our country be great again, and he understands. And it's very hard for him to endorse the opposing party. It's not easy. It's very hard. But he really cares about our country, and he knows the opposing party has really destroyed our country and will destroy our country and permanently destroy our country, and he can't watch that. But we had a great chat for 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours being grilled by Elon, and we had a good time, actually. We're talking about something we love, our country. Much easier when you love something, right? She doesn't want anybody to know what she's really for, and that way she can change it, I mean, she'll tell you what she wants and change it the way she wants it, and ultimately it'll be the way she wants it. I mean, the clown that she picked as a vice president, this guy's a clown. He was so bad. When Minneapolis was burning down, he didn't want to call in the National Guard. I got him on the phone. You got to get the National Guard. Get it. I'm telling you, if I didn't force it upon him, you might not have the city. Remember CNN standing up? This is a season of love. This is a very peaceful protest, and the whole city is burning down behind him. You ever see anything? As far as the eye could see, the whole thing looked like World War II. Speaking of World War III, I'll keep you out of World War III. He's going to put you in World War III. We're very close. You're very close to being in a war, a big war, a world war. You're very close. We've never been this close. And we have incompetent people in the White House, grossly incompetent people. There was no reason for Russia and Ukraine to go at it. There was no reason for Israel to be attacked on October 7th. Would have never happened. But a politician will always go back to where they started, and on November 6th, she will be a San Francisco liberal, again, destroying everything in sight. I wonder what she does after this. Our country will never recover, especially when added to the destruction they've already caused over the last almost 4 years. Think of our country, think of the border, think of what happened. We had the best border. My all-time favorite graph, right? That is my all-time favorite graph, not only because it shows the best border, but for another reason. I tell you what, I'm glad I looked around to look at it. Go, wow, phew. That's my favorite of all time. Even if it was... Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Even if it were bad numbers, negative numbers, I still think it would be my favorite of all time. If Harris wins this election, the result will be a Kamala economic crash, a 1929-style depression. 1929. When I win the election, we will immediately begin a brand new Trump economic boom. It'll be a boom. We're going to turn this country around so fast. Many people say that the only reason the stock market is up is because people think I am going to win. Did you ever hear that? But there was one day, a couple of weeks ago, when they weren't thinking that, and you saw what happened. This will be a 1929-style crash. You know, I have one of the most brilliant men in Wall Street, I think here. I shook hands with him just a little while ago. Scott. Where's Scott? Where's Scott? Oh, stand up. This man, will you come up here, please? Just come up here for a moment. He is considered one of the most brilliant men on Wall Street, and he's made certain statements. I'd like him to make them because probably I'd be better off if he made them than me, right? But I do agree with him. But no, he's considered one of the greatest on all of Wall Street, respected by everybody. And I'm not sure he can get through Secret Service. It's gotten very tight. Come on up, Scott. Come on up. Come on up, Scott. Come on up here. Look at him. And he's a nice-looking guy, too. You want to say a couple of words? Sure. Come on.
Look, this is the Trump economy. This is the Trump stock market. And I can tell you that it will be Kamala Harris will start with the Kamala crash in the stock market, and then it will be the Kamala crash in the economy. And I don't think that's going to happen. You know, I am convinced that President Trump is ahead in the polls now. He is going to stay ahead in the polls, and that he may beat Kamala Harris by more than he would have beaten President Biden.
Thanks. Thank you, Scott. Thank you. Is he central casting? He's central casting. Thank you. Now, he's been very strong on that. He said that if they get in, you're going to have a 1929-style crash. He's been very strong on it. But others have said that, too. And we don't want that to happen to our country. That would be devastating for you, for everybody. On my first day back in the Oval Office, I will sign an executive order directing every cabinet secretary and agency head to use every tool and authority at their disposal to defeat inflation and to bring consumer prices rapidly down. We'll do it very rapidly. When you look at the costs of groceries, the cost of bacon went up 4 and 5 times. Bacon, I don't order bacon anymore. It's too expensive. It will be a whole of government effort to raise the standard of living and make American life affordable again. It's going to really be a very important thing, because it's not affordable. Even if you're doing a little bit better, you've lost all of your money because of inflation. It's been out of control for a long time. And don't forget, now eventually it's starting to maybe get under control, but you're already up 50, 60, 70% in so many items. You look at car insurance, I couldn't believe when I looked at those numbers this morning. I was studying numbers and I looked at the car insurance numbers. It's incredible. And that's just one of many. You can go through many. But the groceries, just to put it in simple terms, people go to the grocery store and they have less than half a deal. In fact, I had something here. I did have something I would show you. Wait a minute. I don't know if you've seen this. I used it once. Oh, I have it. I do have it. Look at this. Look at this. So this is Tic Tacs, right? I don't know if I like the company. I've never met. I have no idea. They're so lucky. Look at all the television. This is the greatest commercial they ever had. But that's what happened. This is inflation. This is Tic Tac. This is inflation. This is what's happened. I just happened to have, somebody gave me this one today. I said, I think we'll put it up as an example of inflation. But you know what? Inflation is destroying our country. It's destroying our families. We will target everything from car affordability to housing affordability to insurance costs to supply chain issues. We have the worst supply chain we've ever had in the history of the country. To the price of prescription drugs, I will instruct my cabinet that I expect results within the first 100 days or much sooner than that. I would say the first 7 days is fine. Car insurance is up 70 to 100%, and you can't get it. You can't even get it. Do you agree with that? You can't even get it, they tell me. Insurance is up 50% or higher. The whole industry is out of control. The insurance industry has never been anything we have never been in a situation with insurance like it is right now. You can't get it, no matter what you pay. But prices will come down. You just watch. They'll come down, and they'll come down fast, not only with insurance, with everything. At the center of our effort to bring the cost of living under control will be the all-out push to end the Biden-Harris war on a thing called American energy. American energy. We will drill, baby, drill. We're going to bring energy prices down. Thank you. And just so you know, they stopped it, and it was terrible what they did. That's what caused the whole problem in the country, even with supply chains. I mean, it just caused a problem. And then they said, oh, go back to the Trump plan now. Now they're drilling. But the day after the election, if they win this election, the drilling stops. They're only doing this for purposes of getting elected. They said, let's go back to what Trump was doing. But the prices are still way high. You see $5 a gallon now for gasoline, and much higher than that in some areas. And we will put ANWR back into service. You know, ANWR in Alaska, it could be the largest oil field in the world. It could be larger than Saudi Arabia. It could be larger than what Russia has. And Ronald Reagan tried to get it. Good man. He tried to get it, couldn't get it. Bush tried. Everybody tried to get it. I got it. And the first, it was tough. And I got it in different times because they stop it on environmental. You know, they use the environment to stop everything, right? You know that. And we're all environmentalists. We want to see what's right. We want clean air. We want clean water. But we don't want to destroy our country. But they stopped it. And we got it going. We got it going. We got it going like never before. It was all set to go. And then think of this. The first week in office, they stopped it. They gave it back. They said, no, we're not going to do it. The greatest, not only great for Alaska, which is an incredible place, a beautiful state. They wanted it so badly. Economic development for Alaska would have been so good. But worldwide, I mean, we would have been selling oil and gas all over the world, especially with Asia because of where it's located. So Asia, all over the world, and they stopped it. But we'll start it up again very, very soon. We're going to get it very quickly. We'll get it approved again very quickly. And your prices are going to come tumbling down. Your gasoline is going to come tumbling down, and your heating bills and cooling bills are going to be coming down. You have places like in New England. I don't know how they put up with it. You have the highest costs almost anywhere. Your costs for energy, for heat, for air conditioning are through the roof. And you know why? Because they don't want to put a pipeline through a section of New York that desperately wants it to happen, a very poor area. They won't do it. And until fairly recently, you know who used to deliver them the oil? Russia. Russia ships were pulling up to New England. How is that? Under Kamala's extreme high-cost energy policy known as net zero, you know what net zero, they have no idea what it means, by the way. It's net zero. What does that mean? Nobody knows. Ask her what it means. We're going to go to a net zero policy. What does that mean? I have no idea. She's attempting to abolish oil, coal, and natural gas. 84% of U.S. energy supply. She wants it ended. Do you think that's going to lift your prices a little bit? Think of that. They're going to take away 84%. And the real stuff, that's the stuff that powers the plants. It's not wind that goes around and around. And darling, let's watch the president's State of the Union speech tonight. I'm sorry, we won't be able to do it. The wind isn't blowing, darling. We have no electricity. We have no electricity, darling. We won't be able to watch tonight, but perhaps sometime during the week it will be blowing and we'll be able to get our television on. Upon taking office, Harris and Biden shut down the Keystone XL pipeline. They issued orders to close dozens and dozens of existing power plants, and Kamala has vowed that if elected, she will absolutely ban fracking. She said, I'll ban fracking. Just recently, I'll ban fracking. There will be no fracking. That means that she can't win the state of Pennsylvania because Pennsylvania is all about fracking. That's their biggest industry. And you know what, Pennsylvania, I hope you're watching because that's what she says and that's what she'll do and that's what she'll go back to. She wants to ban fracking and she's wanted it for her entire career. And we're not going to let her destroy our country like that. We're not going to let her. If Harris gets in, energy prices will skyrocket far more than even in Europe. You know, Europe's a basic disaster because they've tended to go a little bit woke, but that's now changing. Have you been watching? That's changing. Inflation will surge into double digits in our own country, and your quality of life will absolutely collapse. Your quality of life is going to collapse under these lunatics. By contrast, she said it already has. Who said that, ma'am? Wow. You look healthy, though. You look very nice. You look very nice. By contrast, I'm announcing today that under my leadership, the United States will commit to the ambitious goal of slashing energy and electricity prices by half, at least half. We intend to slash prices by half within 12 months, at a maximum 18 months. And if it doesn't work out, you'll say, oh, well, I voted for him. I still got him down a lot, but we're looking to do it. We're looking to cut him in half, and we think we'll be able to do better. And every single thing that I promised, I produced. Every single thing. You will never have had energy so low as you will under a certain gentleman known as Donald J. Trump. Have you heard of him? So we think your energy bills will be down by 50 to 70%. How good would that be for a thing called inflation? How good will that be? You know, energy is such a big topic, such a big cost, so powerful, so big, that if you have a donut shop, you have the ovens, you have a truck that delivers the donuts, if you have whatever you do, your heating, your cooling, everything is about that. That's where they really blew it. They blew it with too much borrowing. They blew it with wasting $9 and $10 trillion on the scam, the great scam in history. There are a lot of scams that they worked on. Where's the laptop from hell? Is it around? Pirated it. But they did it by doing a lot of things. But with the energy, it's such a big topic. No matter what business you're in, you have to heat your business, cool your business. You need cars, trucks to get there and to take the product. It's so energy dominated. My administration will issue rapid approvals for new energy infrastructure, unlock new lands for drilling, and achieve energy independence and energy dominance. So we want energy dominance almost immediately. We were energy independent 4 years ago. Think of it. Today we're getting energy from Venezuela in the form of tar. We're getting it from Venezuela, tar. You ever see what it is to make oil out of tar? They have tar. They have a lot of tar. It's not good. You know where they make it? In Houston, Texas. It's the only plant in the world that can take this material and turn it into gasoline and oil. But no, it's tar, and they're doing very well. You know, speaking of that just for a second, so Venezuela crime is down 72% because they're taking all of their criminals out of Caracas, out of the different places. Their mental institutions are literally closing up. They're taking the people from mental institutions, people from prisons and jails, terrorists. They have terrorists all over the place. And you know where they're bringing them? Welcome to the United States of America. Murderers, drug dealers. And Venezuelan crime is down 72%, but that's only one. All over the world, crime is down because they're taking their criminals and their people from mental institutions And they're putting them into our country because we have stupid people like Kamala and Joe running our country, and there's never been anything like this. And if you look at New York today, and you look at a couple of, remember I said, migrant crime will be a big subject. I said that a year ago. Everyone said, oh no, oh, he's so wrong. Do you see what's happening with migrant crime? They make our criminals look like nice people. They do. These are the toughest. These are the toughest people in the world. The toughest people. We built 571 miles of wall, as an example. They could have, and it's more than I said I was going to build, but then I was going to add 200 miles. We had it built, and they didn't put it up. Would have taken 3 weeks to erect. It was all there, ready to put up. Would have taken 3 weeks to put up. And that's what I said. They actually want open borders. And Kamala wants open borders. And she said it for 15 years. She wants open borders. She only changed recently when she noticed in a poll that wasn't polling too well. People don't want open borders where people can flow into our country. To further combat inflation, I will terminate Kamala Harris's Green New Scam and rescind all of the unspent funds. Give all of the unspent funds back to building roads, bridges, and give it back to the government. And we won't, it's like throwing, what they did was like throwing billions of dollars out the window. We will stop wasteful spending and big government special interest giveaways and finally stand up for the American taxpayer, which hasn't happened since I was president. We stood up, we stood up, we stood up. I mean, prior to COVID coming in history, there's never been an economy like we had. Then when COVID came in, you know, we rebuilt the military. We defeated ISIS. Everybody said it would take 10 years to defeat it. I did it in 8 months. We rebuilt that whole, we did so many things, and we created the greatest economy. I get a lot of credit on everything, including the economy. When COVID came in, we had to do certain things. We had to make certain moves. And if we didn't make those moves, Scott, and if we didn't help businesses survive for that little period of time, you would have had that 1929 style depression. That's what you would have had. We did a great job. Then when we handed it to them, the stock market was higher than it was previous to COVID coming in. Think of that. It was actually higher. And we handed them something that was a jewel. By the way, more people died from COVID in the Biden administration than the Trump administration, and he got it when it was ending all over the world. It was pretty much ending. So we never really got the credit we deserved for that, with the ventilators and all of the different things that we did, the outfits, a lot of things. We were producing in New Hampshire, different places, masks. We had mask factories opening up. We had everything, and we did a good job. And then it came back, and should have come roaring back, but they really blew it. They spent so much money. They didn't have to spend any more money. What they had to do is let our economy take over. But we had some great Republican governors that did a fantastic job. The Democrat governors, not so much. Out of the top 25, as an example, crime-ridden cities, virtually every single one of them is run by Democrats. Think of that. To make both new and used cars more affordable, I will end the Biden-Harris electric vehicle mandate one day. Doesn't make sense. And by the way, there's a great place for electric cars. They're going to do great. I think they're going to do great. And Elon's heard me say that many times. He still endorsed me. I mean, I wouldn't be able to change. It's a question of how far do they go and how much do they cost and all of the different things, factors. But electric cars have a great place in our country, but you have to be able to really get gasoline-powered cars, hybrids, many different types, diesel. You want diesel with trucks. You know, they want to make trucks all electric. Going to California, you have 6 stops. With diesel, you have no stops. That's hard to beat, right? If they're too heavy, common sense. We're the party of common sense. An electric truck weighs more than twice, 2.5 times what a gasoline-propelled truck weighs, right? That would mean you would have to rebuild every bridge and tunnel in the United States. Oh, that sounds reasonable. It would cost so much money. The United States doesn't have, every country together doesn't have what it would cost. But there's a great place for electric, but there's a place for everything, and you should be able to go out and buy what you want. You go out and buy What you want. To further reduce consumer prices, I will immediately eliminate every single costly job-killing regulation the Biden-Harris administration has created, and they've created a lot. Remember, I took out 12 for every one I created, and we ended up doing more than that. We got rid of so many regulations that were so unnecessary. Some of them were 100 years old. In my first term, our regulation cuts saved the typical American family $11,000. In my next term, the Trump dividend will be even larger. It'll be a dividend. By repealing the Biden-Harris regulatory onslaught, we can save an estimated $20,000, and you're talking about a tremendous amount, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a year just in savings. So to get to economic relief to workers and families, we will make additional tax cuts. That's what gave us the great economy. We'll make tax cuts additionally. We'll make them permanent because, you know, we have a thing where they want to terminate at the end of the period when they expire, the Trump tax cuts, 5 years. They want to let them expire. That would mean your taxes would go up 4 times. You'll be paying 4 times much. And we will do something else which was copied, I mean, viciously, ruthlessly copied. No tax on tips, okay? No tax on tips. You know, if they wanted to do that, why did they do it 3.5 years ago? They didn't want it. It was actually the opposite. They hired 88,000 IRS agents to go after these people. So for every position the fake new Kamala takes down, and all of these positions, 3 weeks ago, the real Kamala said the exact opposite. The exact opposite. With me, you will always have a president who tells it like it is. You will always have somebody where I let you know where I stand, and you can vote for me or not, but you need that, and you need consistency, and you need brilliance. You need brilliance. She is not a brilliant person. She is not a smart person. She is not very smart. But it is crazy, isn't it, though? Isn't it crazy? She was so disrespected just a few weeks ago, and now it's like, Kamala, Kamala. The fake news. The fake news is a threat to our country. Don't kid yourself. To help seniors on fixed incomes who are suffering the ravages of inflation, there will be no tax on Social Security. We're going to stop it. No tax on Social Security. This cruel double taxation of Social Security benefits, and this has been talked about for a long time. She'll probably announce this on Friday, too. Oh, look, they have a spy in the audience right over there. He's spying. Let's see, Kamala, I think we should do no tax on Social Security. But it only came into existence in 1984, and at that time, it only affected a very small number of recipients. But now, nearly half of all seniors are forced to pay income tax on Social Security, and thanks to inflation under Harris, she is horrible. This tax hits more seniors every year, more and more, and they can't make it. They're not making it. They're failing. You know, the people that did it right, they saved, they worked, they saved and saved. Those are the people that were hurt most by this kind of thinking and this economy. With your vote, I will end this injustice, and I will always protect Social Security and Medicare for our great seniors, just as I did for 4 incredible years. There was never any talk about doing anything. By contrast, Kamala Harris has a 3-step plan to destroy Medicare and to destroy Social Security. First, she has thrown open our borders. You know what that's going to do. They're all signing up. Oh, congratulations. They'll be all signing up right next to you. But she's opened up our borders. Think of it. Again, I believe it's 20 million people, but I think it's probably much more with the gotaways. You know what a gotaway is, right? Remember, I had Remain in Mexico policy. You think that was easy to get from Mexico? What I had to do to them. And I had Remain in Mexico. They ended it immediately. They thought it was unfair to Mexico. Can you believe that? Mexico's like it's like a railroad track coming into our country. They thought it was unfair. It's not unfair. But Mexico agreed to it. Remain in Mexico, and they ended it very early. They ended it almost immediately. Second, She's flooding our country with millions and millions of low-wage migrants and giving them welfare, free health care, food stamps, public benefits, and third, she's giving them what our military vets don't get. They're sleeping on a street in freezing or very hot weather. And illegal immigrants that came in so illegally and don't speak a word of English are living in some of the most luxurious hotels in the world. It's incredible. You see that? You've been seeing the stories. They're living in hotels. They're taking, right, front row Joes, they're taking some of the best hotels because the government pays more than they can get from wealthy customers. So they say, well, I don't know about this. I think we'll take the illegal immigrant. We're going to get more money from the U.S. government than some rich guy coming in from Argentina. And third, she wants to make them all citizens, dumping them into Medicare and Social Security until those programs buckle and collapse. And that's what's going to happen. Under them, Social Security, Medicare, and other programs will collapse. No country can sustain what's happening right now. The millions of illegal aliens pouring into our country under a border, Czar Harris, are coming from all sorts of places, from countries unknown, literally from countries unknown. And they, as I said, they're coming. You're not going to have any third world wars. Every American was safer under President Trump. In fact, the entire world was safer when I sat behind that beautiful Resolute desk in the Oval Office. You know, I heard the other day, for the first time, I heard Biden say, the beautiful Resolute desk. He never said that before. They copy me. When I say we're a nation in decline, guys are copying me. Then they say they shouldn't say that, but they thought the words were beautiful. But they copy me all the time. In that case, it was Republicans that were copying me because they happen to be right, so I don't mind if a Republican copies me. Any of you guys want to copy me. But it's a sad thing to have to say, but they copy me. The Resolute desk, he never mentioned that. He doesn't even know what the hell the Resolute desk is. Exactly 3 years ago this month, the weakness and incompetence of Kamala Harris and crooked Joe Biden delivered the most humiliating event in the history of our country and one of the biggest military disasters in the history of the world, as far as I'm concerned. No one will ever forget the horrifying images of their catastrophic retreat from Afghanistan. Desperate Afghans fell to their deaths from the wheels of U.S. cargo planes that were 3,000 feet up in the air. Bloodthirsty terrorists poured out of the prisons after Biden and Harris surrendered Bagram, one of the largest air military bases anywhere in the world. We spent billions and billions of dollars building it many years ago. And you know, it was important to keep it. I was never leaving that. I would have been out faster than them. I said, that's over. We're there for almost 21 years. And I said, what are we doing? What are we doing here? And we had no soldiers killed for 18 months while I was there because they knew, don't play around with our soldiers. They were killing them. They were killing them under Obama. Did you see Barack Hussein Obama last night? Take little shots. He was taking shots at your president. And so was Michelle. You know, they always say, sure, please stick to policy. Don't get personal. And yet they're getting personal all night long, these people. Do I still have to stick to policy? Sir, you must stick to policy. You'll win it on the border. You'll win it with inflation. You'll win it with your great military that you built, that they gave away $85 billion worth of it in Afghanistan. Sir, you're going to win it on crime. The crime is running through the streets like never before. You're going to win it on all of these things, and maybe especially, I think two things, the economy, inflation, because I view them together. What they've done to inflation, and they caused it with energy. What they did with energy is so stupid. If we were there, our energy would be so dominant all over the world right now. We were already energy independent. I made you energy independent, but we would be energy dominant, would be paying back debt, would be reducing your taxes still further. We gave you the largest tax cuts ever. And a lot of good things were going to happen, but now we're just going to have to sort of call it a delay of 4 years. But these people don't have any idea what they're doing. You had 13 heroic U.S. service members were tragically and needlessly killed. I got to know a lot of the relatives, friends, and mothers and fathers of those 13 people. 45 others were horrifically wounded, and $85 billion worth of the best military equipment anywhere in the world was handed over to these people. In fact, Afghanistan is now one of the largest arms merchants anywhere in the world. Did you know that? They're selling our equipment at tremendous prices. They're selling our beautiful... We had 70,000 armored trucks, many of them armored trucks and vehicles. Think of this. We had 700,000 rifles and guns. I actually say, what the hell did they need so many for? 700,000 rifles and guns. We had goggles, brand new, right out of the box. You know, they didn't fight at night because they never had goggles, right? Good fighters. They never had goggles. Now they have brand new goggles, all left by the Biden-Harris administration. Gave them billions and billions of dollars, just gave it to them, and now they sell that equipment because they don't need 700,000 rifles. They need 20,000, little difference. They don't need 70,000 vehicles. They need 500 vehicles. You have to ask yourself, who bought all that stuff in the first place? Who bought it all? How disgusted we're all when we see, all of us are, when we see 3 days ago when we viewed their parade, our military equipment running down the middle of their main avenue, brand new, beautiful, armor-plated trucks, tanks, and vehicles, running down the middle, and they're all celebrating because we have stupid people running our government, and she'll be worse than Biden because he wasn't really a believer, but she's a radical left believer. She ruined San Francisco, she ruined California, and if she gets in, our country doesn't have a chance. This calamity is on Comrade Kamala Harris's shoulders. I think her name will be Comrade because I think that's the most accurate name. You know, I've been looking for a name. People are saying, sir, don't do it. You know all my names. They've all worked. They've all been very successful. And I really didn't find one with her. Sir, she's a woman. I said, so is Hillary Clinton. I called her Crooked Hillary. So nobody...
Don't go nowhere. Trump for the win. I'm back. Don't go nowhere. I told y'all don't go nowhere. I told y'all I was coming back. Y'all still left alive.
Uncomfortable, just shouting here. But he's terrible. He's just terrible. Should have never been there. We all know that. Should have never been there. What they've done to this country is incredible. But she bragged that she would be the last person in the room, and she was. She was the last person in the room with Biden when the two of them decided to pull the troops out of Afghanistan. And by the way, pulling them out was absolutely right. I was going to do it. I'm the one that got the soldiers down to 5,000 people. I was going to do it, but we were going to get out last. You don't pull the soldiers out first. You let the soldiers stay last. And the head of the Taliban respected me, Abdul. I had conversations with him. After my conversations, not one soldier in 18 months was killed. But you pull the soldiers out last. Milley and these guys, you know, we have great generals, but Milley and Mattis and these guys, they didn't know what I call them television generals. The television generals are no good, but the generals that defeated ISIS, for me, were great. We have a great military. But she had the final vote. She had the final say, and she was all for it. You take the soldiers out. If I took that young person right there, about 5 or 6 years old, beautiful young person, and if I said, I gave her little details, like about 30 seconds worth of details. Would you take the military out first or last? Sure, I'd take the military out last. But they took it out first. And then we left hostages, we left all of the equipment, we left everything. And we left Bagram, and now China is occupying Bagram. Bagram being 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. Wouldn't it have been nice to have our big, fat, beautiful base? It was probably built there for that reason. But China 1 hour away, and now China is occupying that massive, big base. Some of the biggest runways in the world. They could hold heavier loads than any runways in the world. Under my leadership, we were getting out of Afghanistan, but we were going to get out with dignity, pride, and with strength. When I left office, we had not lost a single service member in the combat in Afghanistan in more than 18 months. And then we had that horrible day where we lost so many, and so many were so badly hurt. Arms, legs gone, face just obliterated. We lost so many great people that day. Nobody talks about the people that were so badly injured. They never mention them. I always mention them. All over the world, our adversaries knew that America was not to be trifled with when I was your commander-in-chief. And you know, it's very interesting. If you look at Hungary, very strong country, very strong leader, Viktor Orban, he said the only thing that's going to save the whole world is Trump has to be president again. We had no problems. We had no problems. He said, we had no problems. I don't use the term, but he did. He said, China was afraid of him. Russia was afraid of him. They always said, oh, I was so friendly to Russia. I'm the one that stopped the Russian pipeline called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever, the biggest development they ever had to feed oil all over Europe, I stopped it. And then Biden comes in and he gives them everything. He gave them the pipeline. They built the pipeline, but I stopped it. Putin said, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to us. I said, I'm sorry, I have to do it. And he approves it right away. And then they say, Trump was not strong on Russia. I think they got it wrong. Putin actually said, if you weren't strong, I'd like to find out how bad would you be if you were strong, because you were brutal. But you know, I got along with him. It's good to get along with these countries. I got along with China. That wouldn't have happened. What's happening right now, they're planning an attack on Taiwan. There's no question about that. That wouldn't have happened. Wasn't going to happen. They knew that you weren't allowed to do that. Putin would have never gone into Ukraine. Israel would have never been attacked. It's a sad, sad situation. So many people are dead. So many people are gone. So many cities. You look at Ukraine, those cities are just wiped off the face of the earth. They're outside of Kiev and a couple of others that basically just flattened. Far more people dead than they let you know. It's like your numbers that were released fraudulently today. Far more people dead in that war than anybody would know. When those big buildings come tumbling down, hit with rockets, so ridiculous. There's nothing left. It's so ridiculous. But since the Afghanistan catastrophe, it's been open season on America and our allies. I really believe that the Afghan disaster, what happened, the stupidity and the way we pulled out and the bedlam and all of that, it would have been very smooth. We were going to get out with strength and dignity. But when Putin saw that, he said, wow, those people don't know what they're doing. They're overrated. And he went in, and the same thing happened with Iran. Iran was not going to play with us. And now Iran is a rich nation. They have $300 billion. They had no money. And in 3.5 years, they made $300 billion. $300 billion they have right now. They made it all in 3.5 years. They had none when I left. And we would have made a fair deal with them. They can't have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. You can't have a nuclear weapon. Other than that, we want you to have great lives. But I do hear they're after me, but you know, that's the way it is. Look, I'm here for you, and I'm here even for the world. We want to stop world wars because the equipment is so devastating now. A world war is obliteration. We can't have a world war. Every dictator, tyrant, and terrorist on the planet knows that they can get away with murder under Kamala and Crooked Joe. Kidnappers are getting millions and millions of dollars, but now they're getting billions. They're getting billions. What did you get for the 4 people that we released? Sir, they got $6 billion. What is $6 billion? Does anyone know what that means? $6 billion. They got $6 billion. People get kidnapped and, you know, they ask for like, how about $1,000? How about 500? They got $6 billion from these idiots. And you know what happens? When that happens, a lot of people are going to get kidnapped because they say, we're dealing with stupid people. A lot of people. We had 59 people that were hostage. Some in North Korea. That's about as tough as it gets. We got people out without paying for anything. We never gave money. We didn't want to give money. If we gave money, all they do is they go around kidnapping everybody. These people give, not only do they give $6 billion, they got the Prince of Death out. He's the #1 arms merchant in the world. Russia got him as part of one of the deals. The #1 arms merchant in the world. We got a couple of people. But you know, why were they there? And why did they do what they did? But they got some of the most criminal, the toughest, meanest criminals anywhere in the world. On top of that, we paid them billions and billions of dollars. We're run by very stupid people. I'd like to use a different word. I'd like to use a much more sophisticated word, but there's no word I can think of. Incompetent. How about incompetent? As a result, peace in Europe has been shattered by the largest European land war since the fall of Nazi Germany. This is the largest war there's been, and this war is going to escalate and escalate. When, if, but when. I have to always say if, you know, because they cheat. I would say when if they didn't cheat, but they cheat. That's the one thing. They're great at cheating in elections. If we win, I'll get that thing settled before I take the office. I'll get it settled as president-elect. I'll get that war stopped. With Russia, yeah, we'll get that stopped. Ukraine and Russia, we're going to get it stopped, and quickly. It'll be done before I get to office. It would not have happened if I was president. It wasn't going to happen in the Middle East. The Jewish people have suffered the worst atrocities and deadliest attacks since the Holocaust. There's no question about that. The United States has been forced to abandon more embassies under Kamala than at any time in our history. We're running out. It's not like we're leaving. We're being run out of these embassies that cost us hundreds of millions of dollars to build. You got to see these embassies in the middle of nowhere in a country you've never even heard of. They spend $900 million to build an embassy. The whole thing is crazy. The world is on fire, and Kamala and Biden have marched us to the brink of World War III. That's what we're in. I think, General, you would probably agree. You're one of the experts, I would think, right? I don't even talk to you about that lately. It's so out of control, I don't even have to bother. I just say, look, take a look. But one of the great experts, and we're on the brink. That's why this November, Americans are going to tell Kamala Harris, that we've had enough. We can't take it anymore. You're doing a terrible job. Comrade Harris, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. You're no good. You're fired. Get him out of here. All you have to do is take a look at San Francisco and look at the job she did. She had one policy. If you steal less than $1,000, basically $950 to be exact, I want to be accurate for purposes of reporters. The fake news media, they want accuracy. They don't have to be accurate, but we have to be accurate. But if you steal less than $950, they basically leave you alone. So I have guys going in robbing stores with a calculator. Let's see, this is $100. Did you notice? This is not going to happen in North Carolina, I don't think, is that? Let's see, that's $100, that's $59. Bing, 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 bing. Stop. We don't want to go over $950. They walk out with it. Nobody does a thing. Starting the moment I lift my hand from the Bible after taking the oath of office, I will move to restore America to maximum strength and return the world to peace. We're going to return the world to peace. And mostly I can do it with a telephone call. You know, we don't have to send troops. I can do it with a telephone call. You go to war with another country that's friendly to us or even not friendly to us. You're not going to do business in the United States, and we're going to charge you 100% tariffs. And all of a sudden, the president or prime minister or dictator or whoever the hell is running the country says to me, sir, we won't go to war. I talked this world out of a lot of wars with telephone calls. I don't have to send in the troops. One of my most urgent priorities will be to quickly rebuild the readiness and spirit of the United States Armed Forces. And we had it built. We rebuilt it. We rebuilt the whole military, but it was decimated under this group of stupid people. You know, we had so much, when I came in, we had no ammunition. Did you know that? Remember? I used to talk about it. And I said, if it's true, which it was, why would you say that? We had people on television. Well, the United States has no ammunition. You know, some things you just keep to yourself, right? Do you remember from North Carolina, do you remember I used to talk about that all the time? Those are my best witnesses, those ladies. There's about 40 of them. They're all over the place. And they're always perfectly coiffed and perfectly dressed. They're beautiful and they're great. But no, I used to talk all the time. If you have no bullets, I can ask this group of leaders, you don't talk about it, but you get the bullets really fast, right? So within a year, I had so much that our warehouses were stocked to the gills. We never had so much. I bought so much, missiles, everything. I rebuilt our military, but that's been all dissipated now again because we give it away to everybody. And for nothing. I mean, they don't do anything for us. We don't get anything. We don't even get a pledge that we'll pay you back someday if we have the money. How about that? Pay you back someday if we have the money. You know, I sponsor athletes sometimes. If I see somebody that I like in sports, I sponsor some golfers. Usually doesn't typically work out. I don't know if you know, it's like a 5,000 to 1 shot, but I'm good at that stuff and I can see talent. And I'll give them a few $1,000s. I'll give them $50,000. I'll say, you know, you're really good. You could make it. Why aren't you trying out for the tour? Sir, I have no money. I have to give lessons. I have no money. He said, you're too good to give lessons. You can be a tour player. I said, I don't have any money. I said, here's $50,000. And here's the deal. If you do well, you pay me back with no interest. Just good luck. If you don't do well, which you probably won't, because it's very hard, they say the worst is a boxer. If you sponsor a boxer, they're all great, they're winning all their fights, and then they turn professional, and they go in, and this goes with the UFC, run by Dana White, one of the greats of all time, which has really taken over for boxing. But it's the same thing, and people sponsor people, and they get what they get. But the worst is that what's wrong? Oh. A doctor, please. It is very hot here, I notice. It's very hot. And a lot of the people waited for days to get here, so I understand it. Take your time, doctor. Take your time. Thank you. Yeah. Take your time, please. Thank you very much. You know, they come 2 days, 3 days early, and it's a lot of stress. We lose them. The only ones we don't lose are front row Joes. I don't know what they have going. They have something going here, Governor. Thank you very much. Thanks, Doctor. But America is blessed with the greatest military in the world, but our men and women in uniform have been betrayed by radical left politicians and some generals, and at the top they're woke. They're woke. We don't want woke generals. We want generals that know how to win, and we have them. We proved that when we wiped out ISIS, didn't we? Proved it. Sure, it'll take 5 years. We did it in three weeks. I think we did it in 3 weeks. We have the greatest military in the world, but you need the great leaders. Otherwise, your military can never be great. Everywhere I go, soldiers and veterans tell me how angry they are that not one person has been held accountable for the Afghanistan catastrophe. He never fired anybody. You know, I fire a lot of people when they don't do a good job. Then they come back and write books. You know, they hate you, but that's okay. When you don't fire people, they never write books, you know. But I fired a lot of people. I wasn't happy with their service. I wasn't happy with the job they did. I fire them. I let them go. I mean, I'm working for you. I'm not doing this for myself. But when you fire them, they always come back with something. And nobody's ever been in the position where, you know, they get offered all sorts of money from the fake news and everything else. And fame, we're going to make you famous. All you have to do is make up some stories about Trump. But people don't seem to care. It's phony stuff, phony, horrible. They're lightweights, they're terrible people. You know, when I came, don't forget, I didn't know anybody in Washington. I'm president of the United States. I'm going down Pennsylvania Avenue with that biggest load of military and police and motorcycles and everything you've ever seen. And I didn't know anybody. I said to my wife, I don't know a lot of people, but the people I know, I got recommendations from a lot of good people, well-meaning people. Some were good, most were great, but we had some bad ones too. But now I know them all in Washington. I know the good ones, the weak ones, guys like this. I know the weak ones and the bad ones. General, we know the dumb ones and the smart ones, don't we? We know them all. But the voters will hold Kamala and Joe accountable for this November when I take office, and they're going to be held accountable for what they've done to this country. Right? Thank you. I will ask for the resignations of every single senior military official who touched the Afghanistan disaster. I want their resignations immediately. And I want them on the desk in the Oval Office, the Resolute desk. I want them on at 12 o'clock, Inauguration Day. Everybody involved with that disaster. When you have a disaster so stupid as that caused us such problems, you don't know what that's done to the reputation of our country, the Afghanistan disaster. This house cleaning will be a signal to the entire world and America military and everybody else. They want people to be held accountable for failure and incompetence. And it's just not acceptable that something like that could happen. These are fighters. They fight with broken, old, obsolete weapons and knives. We have F-16s. We have F-35s, F-32s. And we were knocking the hell out of them. Just knocking the hell out of them. It was easy. But I said, what the hell are we doing this for? Let's get the hell out of there. We were getting out with such strength. They were so happy they couldn't believe it. And then these people came in, and it's horrible to even think about what happened. And countries all over the world lost respect for us because of Afghanistan. We demand success and we demand victory. We want victory from our soldiers and from everybody else. Under Comrade Kamala Harris, and I call her that because she's a Marxist, okay? I was saying, do you think she's a Marxist or a communist? The people that really study this stuff, they weren't able to tell me. They said it could be all the way, it could be communist, but she's damn close. They said it was definitely one or the other, but they couldn't actually tell me. Was it communist or Marxist? Sure, it's one or the other. We're not sure. We'll figure it out. But under Comrade Kamala, our military has been abused for radical social experiments. On day one, I will get critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our U.S. armed forces. We're taking it out. focused on defeating America's enemies, not figuring out their genders. By that time, hopefully they know their genders. Marxist ideologies have no place in combat. Think of it, they go in and they decide, oh, it's going to change my gender. No, we want them to know their gender when they go in. You have no idea the disruption that has caused, and the fake news refuses to report it. You know, when I did a ban, I went to a lot of good generals. I said, I'm not going to tell you names. Just tell me, is it the right thing or the wrong thing? The wrong thing, sir. It's the wrong thing.